So there was an update on LaGuardia Airport. Americans have been pronouncing the same word in three different ways. So I'm a non-American, so I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. So pardon my pronunciational skills here. In my video, I clearly mentioned that there's a very important aspect of the NTSB press conference by some Doug and the chair lady of NTSB. So the misconception which most of the YouTube analysts got was that the ADC guy was on different frequencies, and that's why he made a mistake and let the truck pass the runway while this flight 646 Jazz 646 was on its way on short finals. But I pointed out specifically by listening to NTSB, Mr. Doug's briefing carefully, and I said no. The things he has mentioned are from the cockpit voice recorder, not from the ADC recording. ADC recordings are available on the channel, the VAS I mentioned before as well. The ATC recordings in public domain are available there. So once you listen to the ATC recordings, one can assume that probably pilots did not know the conversation happening between ATC and the truck driver. But that defies the logic of aviational safety, because once you're crossing a runway, you are on the same frequency with the aircrafts and definitely with the ATC. You don't have different frequencies, otherwise it would happen every single day. But we have seen a few runway incursions on the same airport or the other airports as well. So it's a standard SOP, standard operating procedure, that the frequencies of the aircrafts, the crossing the runway vehicles, and the ATC match. During my flying career, 32 years ago in Pakistan, okay, we're talking about a third world country now. So we had two runways, runway left and right on the air base where I used to fly the trainers. And we were the propeller aircraft, so we had to cross through the jet runway, because that runway is a bit longer than the propeller aircraft runway. So we had to cross from the tarmac taxi out, and then we crossed this runway on the left, and then we enter into runway on the right. And our takeoff and landing areas was towards the right side, while T-37s were flying on the left side. So every time we have to cross that runway, this was a standard SOP at that time told to us that you have to switch to the mobile frequency, which was the ADC of the jet. We had two different towers there. One was to operate the propellers, and one was to operate the jets on two different runways. So once we are gonna cross that runway, the SOP is switch to that runway's ATC tower, and then cross that one and switch back to your runway's ATC. So never had any incident. So this is the first world country's airport, so I don't think so that they were on a different frequency. The truck, the aircraft, and the ADC were on the same frequency. The confusion comes from the call where it says, are you calling on tower or ADC?
Who's the vehicle needed to cross the runway? Emergency vehicles calling on ground, or are you calling on tower?
Well, that depends on where this guy was sitting. Normally, ADC and tower do not sit together. Tower is tower, and ADC is just a guy sitting in front of his screen. Or the vice versa. This could happen anywhere, like in the flight PK8303 crash. I assume that the ADC guy was not in the tower. He was sitting in his room looking at the blips on the radar screen, and he was giving instructions to PK8303. So that totally depends. But bottom line, they were on the same frequency. So this guy, watch his channel. He's made a nice video. Definitely, he honors the pilots, and I love people honoring dead pilots, especially those who gave their lives in the line of duty, no matter passenger aircraft or fighter jets. But why not to talk about that? So that's why I presented my point that the pilots did know about all the conversation happening between the ADC and the truck drivers. There's no way they were not knowing, and they had many chances to go around. They didn't do it because what are the odds? So my blame is totally on the truck drivers, as I already mentioned from my first video and the second video too. But we have to talk about each and every one's role one by one. So I have talked about the truck driver role, why he was responsible, the ADC guy's role, why he was the least responsible, and the aircraft, the pilots, their role as well. So I don't want to, because they're dead, they can't defend themselves. So this is what my 2 cents are on this, that NTSB very clearly mentioned that this 3 minutes and 7 second video is cockpit voice recorder. They even mentioned the type of the cockpit voice recorder and the FDR. And he said this whole thing is based on cockpit voice recorder, not from the ADC calls.
The following is a summary of events captured on the cockpit voice recorder during the final 3 minutes of the recording. All times are referenced to the end of the CVR recording.
So I hope we will get to know the correct information after a year or so, because that's what it takes for the investigation team to complete investigation and publish the report. So till then, Allah Hafiz.